Hello, my name is Justin Hanna, and I'm going to argue the affirmative that the United States should substantially increase assistance to sustainable and organic agriculture. Now, my plan to go about this is to provide tax breaks to home and local gardeners on several different levels, such as removing the sales tax on plant seeds, bushes, or anything of that nature to promote and maintain a home and local garden. Also, we could provide an income tax break in ways they do in business. In business, they measure the land people use for home offices, and they will create a tax break for the land used for business purposes. We could use that in the terms of gardens. We could measure the land of gardens and deduct that from income tax breaks. Um, so the bigger your garden, the more income tax breaks you get. Now, if we're going to use this plan, we must first look at the way the system in America is ran and the problems associated with that. Currently, within America, we get the majority of our food through industrial agriculture. What this is, it's the creation of crops on a massive scale through the huge uses of land. Now, this provides several problems for the United States, such as environmental problems, problems with food nutrition, and also it raises food costs. Now, the environmental problems associated with this can be seen in various ways. The first way is it's harmful to wildlife and land. Now, different studies have been shown that the use of the land for the creation of these crops, it depletes the soil on these lands and it leaves it vulnerable to erosion. And everyone knows they want to kind of preserve the land. There's like massive campaigns to preserve land, and the use of industrial agriculture, it doesn't preserve land. It actually harms the land. And also, to create these crops, industries use chemical additives, and this provides several problems within the environment, such as the chemical fertilizers and waste produced from these plants used to create these crops. It effectively adds to global warming emissions, and it creates oxygen-deprived dead zones at the mouth of major waterways. This harms the wildlife in several different ways. If they don't have the land to live, or you're forcing them to change their habitat, it could effectively reduce their lifespan or even kill them. And I know personally, I would not want to do anything that can harm wildlife just because I have a strong connection to animals and I do not want to harm them or even the environment. Also, the way it harms the environment is through the usage of transportation. For industrial agriculture, we rely on transportation to move all these crops around the world. Not around the world, but mainly in the United States. But if we have to transport such huge amounts of crops, it increases the car emissions drastically. And car emissions add to CO2 production, and what that does is it adds to the greenhouse effect and effectively creates a warmer temperature, which can even harm future crops, because the more the climate goes up, the more harmful it is to future crops you're going to produce. And also, finally, it increases fossil fuel production for these crops. It has been shown that 5 to 10 calories of fossil fuel energy is needed to create 1 calorie of food energy. Now, we all know the problems associated with fossil fuel usage, and if we rely on industrial agriculture, it will increase those fossil fuel energies by a lot, and all those harmful effects that's related to that will come into play again. Now, if we increase assistance to home and local gardeners, this could effectively get rid of these environmental problems altogether. we would no longer need fossil fuel energy to create these gardens, because it would be everyday citizens or local people creating food in their own gardens. What this also does is there would no longer be chemical additives needed, and it would get rid of the transportation usage because it would all be locally, and none of those chemical additives would harm wildlife or the environment. Also, these home and local gardens, they what they do is they actually clean the air, so it would make the air better. Another thing associated with industrial agriculture is food nutrition. The food nutrition, the way that industrial agriculture gets their food is they effectively have to harvest these crops before they are ready. And what this does is it gets rid of the freshness, and when you do that, it actually reduces the nutrition from these foods. And industries must harvest these foods beforehand to make sure by the time they get in the stores that they're fresh. Not fresh, but they're ripe enough to sell. And also the chemical additives they add to their food is very harmful to us. This could provide like several problems to our food health and everything. And also, the food created by this is not inspected by the FDA. And when food isn't inspected, it could lead to several problems such as foodborne illness. And if any of you have had food poisoning before, it is not fun. And you do not want to have to deal with that just because the food isn't inspected. And if this plan, it could get rid of that, because we could harvest this food when we want, and it would increase the freshness and everything. And also, through industry, when different things go wrong, it will create food shortages such as natural disasters, etc. And when there's food shortages, the cost goes up, and actually the rising food costs can be directly associated with transportation and oil cost. Because of the transportation needed, when fuel goes up, the food costs will also go up because it costs more to transport this food. Now, if we use this plan, I think it could effectively get rid of most of these problems, because it will produce food on massive amounts of scales if more farmers use it, and it increases the food nutrition because it's fresh. Everyone knows that organic food is usually better. So this is why I believe that we should increase assistance to home and local gardeners. Thank you.